Well, here we are once again on a Saturday morning. Hello, everybody. And just waiting for everybody to click on the join button. Today we have Blue, we have Luke, and we have Oggy joining us on the Discord channel. And I picked a nice little backdrop screen for us to look at there. Just, bright lights, big city. Pat Thai, how are you? And Thomas, there you go. Yes, this was a topic I was playing with. I was actually talking about with Niall last, was it Tuesday before he left. I said I want to have a play with this particular topic for a few videos, and I thought I'll give it a test run here on the live stream this morning to see where we go. Maybe we'll do a hook up at some stage with Niall when he sort of settles back down in the lovely green pastures of Ireland. We might do a hook up there and talk about it. But I spoke to Stephen about it last night as well, and he's given me a few little bits and pieces. And somebody's moving their furniture in the background there. That's Luke. Okay, so who's with us? Who's with us already? As you pop in, say hello. Yes, a nice colourful background, isn't it, Pat? They don't need to be quarantined when they return. Scuba Tom, good morning.
Too bad you're in the way. Then we can see the background.
Oh, you want to see the background, do you? There you go. Now, seriously, this guy in the centre here, and if you can see the mouse, this guy here, God, that looks like a friend of mine. No, it's not my photo.
That's not bar fines and power lines, is it?
No, that looks like a friend of mine from Vietnam. His name's Grant. Good God, I swear that looks like Grant there. It's a bit of a fuzzy picture, but it looks like Grant. What are you doing in Soy Cowboy there, Grant? I don't know. If you didn't know, this particular photo, of course, is Soy Cowboy in its glory days. The glory days aren't so much these days, of course, because of the whole pandemic. Well, it has to be a plan. It doesn't seem to be a pandemic over here, does it?
Plandemic, I like that. That's new. You just coined a new phrase.
Oh no, I didn't think of it. God, but every country deals with it differently. So what are you supposed to do, Mr. Mitch? Good morning. How you doing? Yeah. So this is a topic that we ran it by Stephen last night. He called me up at 7:30 this morning, expecting me to get out of bed to chat to him, but he sort of he wanted to chat about some stuff he'd found, so I've got a few little pieces to work with. Okay, top definition. No money, no honey. A spoken expression in its original and quasi-literal form used by prostitutes to inform interested men that they have no interest in being chatted up or smooth-talked, that the only way for sex to occur is through a cash payment. The word honey is used as a metaphor for the female genitalia. There you go. Here's another bit of a definition: a non-spoken attitude or mindset in its modern derived form, an understanding or implied contract between a man and woman, stating that a man wants sex on a continued long-term basis. He must provide money or gifts of a similar or gifts on a similarly continued long-term basis in exchange for said sex. Here's a couple of examples. Andy Stubbs, good morning. And also, yeah, I didn't miss anybody. Yeah, example one. Look, baby, I don't waste my time with all that smooth talk. Okay, this is a money game, and no money, no honey. Example number two. Dude, I'm so tired of my high maintenance trophy ass wife. I can't get laid anymore without first promising to buy her something outrageously expensive. Just today we were getting ready to fool around when out of nowhere she tells me she wants a new Rolex. Man, I'm so sick of this no money, no honey bullshit from my own wife. there you go. Aussie Bob, g'day. I call it that, and I'm home in Sydney's West. Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's of course the pandemic. Crookers, Wookwood, and I've just been tested 90 minutes ago. 2 days to wait. 2 days to wait for the results. Coming into Swanepoel, they got a test at the airport that actually gives a blood test, and it takes 90 minutes. So they're not even letting in the country unless, of course, you do the blood test.
They're taking 2 and 3 weeks here in the U.S.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's insane. They've got a backlog of 60,000 tests at one of the local labs.
Well, you've got to ask what's going on. If a test can be done in 90 minutes with airport traffic coming in, now I don't know how much that airport traffic is coming through, of course. But if a test can be done in 90 minutes, well, that's another example of Thailand being a backward country, right? Yet they seem to be outperforming all the major Western countries, isn't it? Anyway, that's not the discussion.
Excuse here is that it's expensive and they don't have the reagents to do it.
Is that right?
Because they come from China.
Is that right? Well, maybe because maybe we've got a backdoor access to China or something. Yeah, who knows? But yes. Anyway, the discussion topic for today, we're going to try to stay. Oh, of course, I didn't. So there's one thing I didn't do. I didn't change the topic. Let me just fix that up. Where is it? No money, no M-O-N-E-Y, no H-O-N-E-Y, no money, no honey.
Oh, I like this. I can look at the Discord and it just shows your screen without you on it.
Yes, you can look at the screen, so we can, whatever I'm putting up there. And yeah, so that's basically what we're talking about today is no money, no honey. I don't know what I actually called the video when I actually started it up, but yeah. I'd have to go and look at the...
No money, no honey, how true is this?
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Let me just finish that off then.
True that.
You're sticking your finger in the materialistic thoughts.
Yeah, well, look, it's a comment you get every so often on the channel. I've got to admit that this is an ongoing play that the naysayers have for anybody filming, or doing video content based in Thailand, as if like the fact that in my take, as if that the issue of the no money, no honey doesn't happen everywhere in the world, which it quite frankly does, right? Yet for some reason they feel possessed to make the point for Thailand. And for the life of me, I still haven't worked out what possesses them to think that Thailand is any different. Except for the fact that you get some very, very pretty girls, and these very, very pretty girls really have no conscience when you see some of the men that they latch their arm onto. I think the prostitutes in Australia, or probably even the West, have a little bit more decorum with the type of clientele that they would choose.
Nothing worse than a prostitute with self-respect. Damn.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's one of the things that I've always amazes me how people think that it only happens in Thailand. And again, we're talking about a situation like there's nothing new with the paradigm, right? 2,000 years ago in the sort of the society we had back then, pagan, not Neolithic times, but the guy would go out and he would catch the food, he would shoot the food, come home and lay the deer on the table and say, "Darling, cook that." So there really was no money. It was the fact that he had to go out and work and get the food and brought it home and said, "Now, honey, cook it." And that's basically how the process worked back then. It was always.
She wouldn't cook it. The gal in the next cave over would.
That's it. The girl in the next cave gave her the next. Dale, good afternoon. The girl on the next the next cave would certainly do the job because she wants to eat. So there's nothing new with the paradigm, and it is sort of like I come from a sort of, I suppose, a family that valued the single income sort of structure. Whereas it was in my day when I was growing up, the man went out and earned the money, and the woman stayed at home and took care of the kids. Of course, in the last 50 years, that sort of paradigm has changed with the advent of the women's liberation movements and everything else. So things have skewed the playfield. And the women start working, so the women can earn money as well. So they've got a bit more choice, and the choice comes down to the fact that, well, if you want to be a misogynistic arsehole, well, buy me the Rolex, or something like that. And that's where it obviously stems from in most of the sort of cases of our current society. So Aussie Bob, no trouble to give money to for my honey. I know that's so true. But yes, Andy Stubbs, I know what I would like to have been like living in Russia in the 80s. Do as you're told, or yeah. But it is this is one of the things. This whole paradigm of the no money, no honey seems to have a big focus here in Thailand, and but thumbs up for our Wazza. Yeah, that's right. Get the thumbs up. It seems to have been sort of focused on the Thailand genre, and I really don't know why that is. Johnny Siam, good afternoon. How you doing? I've talked to my friends in the Philippines. I've got a couple of friends in the Philippines now that we chat to regularly. And this is, it happens over there. It happens everywhere in the world. And again, I look back, I was a single income family. My wife stayed at home, and seriously, what's different there? I'm out working. I bring the money home. She takes care of the food and the grocery shopping, bringing up the children. This money's always going out the door. That's how it works. It's for some reason I still to this day can't see why there's this big comparison that we have focused on Thailand, right? Except for the fact that the money seems to change around a bit, and it's and the sick cow, or my father's ill, or I got to put my mother through hospital, or I can't pay my rent. There's all the different excuses you get, but the same thing still applies, doesn't it? Wear that mask. Wear that mask. You want me to put the mask on? No, you won't. No, not wearing the mask today. It's my house, so I won't wear a mask. Yeah, so I thought let's have a discussion on it. Let's just talk about it. Get the juices flying. We got Luke here. He's in and out of sleep patterns, and he's from Texas. Oggy, thoughts. Let's start this. Don't get me talking about it. Stephen,
I have my cup of coffee.
You got your coffee, have you?
Go. I got my caffeine now.
Good. So, just chime in. What's your thoughts about the whole money no honey sort of paradigm?
Well, from a prostitution point of view, I can understand it. It's work like anybody else, you have to make a living, and I was in the military when I was a very much younger man, and I will be quite frank, I was guilty of partaking in that industry, and I can understand it as an industry. There are people in a lot of different worlds, United States, Thailand, and any every country, it is known to be the oldest, oldest job, or in the world. It is.
The oldest profession known to man.
Oldest profession. Thank you for saying that. It is, and men just men are men. I'm sorry, but we are driven by sexual needs, and I don't know. It's it seems to be stereotyped in lesser. I don't even want to say lesser. Less developed countries as an opportunity for tourism.
Dallas says, I wear the pants in my relationship. Don't tell my wife I said that. And then, of course, Mr. Mitch turns around and says, I wear the pants until I can fit into my dress. Good one, guys. Aussie Bob, call it survival skills. No judgment call. I ain't no saint. And it's a human desire any which way you want it. Yes, any which way you can. There's nothing sexier than a Thai woman carrying a slab down the driveway that she paid for. I've gained weight during this lockdown. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. So, there's always been that situation, from Neolithic times, like the propagation of the species. Okay, there was no money involved, as I said. Bring home the bison, and feed them the family. This is the sort of way it sort of worked back then. These days here, I think this is the whole nature of the cash industry of everything. And really, when you start to think of it, the girls. So I think what the going rate now was it 2,000 baht for a short time. What's that? That's
about 65 US.
Yeah, I'm just getting my calculator out. It's all good with the Australian dollar just dropped 3 points.
Let me get a pen.
2,000. That's 89. So $90. So I think in Australia the going rate is 250, isn't it, for an hour? Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been sort of in that sort of discussion process for quite some time. But I think last time I was in Australia, which was probably 5 years or 4 years ago.
Can you cross-reference that with being married and the whole marriage ceremony?
Well, I was actually going to bring up that point through the discussion, talking about the fact that there's the paid services, and then of course, what does it really cost to keep a wife? I think people actually
damned expensive.
People tend to forget that side of no money, no honey process. But we'll open that sort of idea back up towards the second half. Let's focus on Let's focus on the short time ideas first. What's it cost? So and quite frankly, like I know the girls are tricked along William Street and everything else. Being in the LGBT community, you get to meet a whole bunch of the girls, the working class girls, and you look at the comparisons of those girls working the streets of William Street and things like that versus the girls working soy cowboy, and it's honestly, you wouldn't even waste your money on the William Street girls. They are just completely like Horrorville in comparison. But anyway.
Now, is that William Street girls? Are those in Australia, or is that a location in Thailand?
No, William Street is the main walking street down in Sydney.
Taking notes.
You're darn right I am. I'm looking forward to visiting next year. I've already heard the phrase "no money, no honey." Well, you know what?
Aussie Bob, is that what they're
Money.
calling it? They're calling it a covered belly, are they? I thought so the beer belly is now named the covered belly, is it?
I call that Mike's wife.
Here they just call it the COVID-19. That's how many pounds you put on while you're in quarantine.
Oh, is that right? 19 pounds in quarantine, is it?
Or 19 kilos, depending upon how much you eat.
Yeah. I think everybody's gained weight.
Well, I'm still the 84 kilos, so nothing really has changed in my life. I sit in front of the computer and eat junk food. I suppose I could probably lose, like that would pretty well, if I really wanted to lose weight, just cut out the junk food and maybe I could lose 5 kilos. But
I cook more.
That's just my lifestyle. But yeah, so as I said, you see these pretty girls, and they are just the girls in Soy Cowboy, Nana. They are just gorgeous in comparison to some of the girls I've seen, working the streets of Sydney. And that's it. You're on holiday. You're coming over here for a holiday, and money's burning a hole in your pocket, and and really they will. You got the money. They will be only too happy to oblige you in some pleasant conversation somewhere. Did I say tongue in cheek? A pleasant conversation. Hi, what's your name? Where you stay? Where you come from? Did I do that right?
Yeah, and then you go to Thailand, and the girls and the boys look pretty.
Oh yeah, you got that side of it as well. Yes, even the boys look prettier than the girls in Australia. It's a known situation. But yes, I said the whole no money, no honey. It's a I suppose a very overused term, because when it comes to these sort of things, we've also got the other side, which is a married relationship. Quite frankly, apart from the global financial crisis, which upset my plans to get here earlier. I've quite often sort of said that. Look, I don't hate my wife. We're still good friends. We grew up. My ex-wife, I should say. We grew apart over the 20 years. But quite frankly, if I chose to say see a working girl 3 days a week for 20 years, I would have been financially better off, right, over those 20 years. There is absolutely no question in my mind, and quite frankly, I probably would have, if I tallied that up, that probably means more honey than what I was in a married relationship, because that's the sort of thing. You get bored with the same girl over and over again, and you're not so, after 20 years, jumping in the sack is, it's just same old. So you got that sort of side of the story too. At least if you've committed to spending $750 a week, right? That's if you can afford it. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. At least you get a different girl every week, haven't you? A different girl every day, every week. If that's all that drove your life, of course. There are other sort of sides to a relationship, of course, that were. I don't think that was really the angle, but we can always look at the angle of what the benefits of a married life. But that could be another topic altogether.
Exactly.
Was it play country and Western music backwards when you get back there? Andy, what about wife swapping? I think I could swap mine for a Mercedes. I keep on saying that to Chanya. Says, "Oh, Chanya, you're 36. I think I need to trade you in on two 18-year-olds." I don't get a slap across the face. She knows I'm joking, but nice to see that Thai women buy something that I've not paid. There's something, what? Aussie Bob. Nice to see any Thai woman buy something that I've not paid. So I don't quite understand the English on that one. Fortunately, her squeeze was a little bit. You know why divorces are so expensive? They are Thomas. So how much
Hey,
did
I've
you?
been through 2 of them.
Yeah, that's right. So, and again, that's the other side of, the other side of the conversation. That it happens everywhere, and this is something I think that doesn't sort of happen so much. If you shack up with a Thai girl here, they really, they have got no leverage on your financial situation if you break up. Like if you were dating a girl in Australia after 6 months of regular dating in Australia, she is technically entitled to half of everything you own, right? In what they call a not plutonic
Common law.
It's a common law, but it's what they call a cohabitation law or something like that.
Here in the U.S., it's 13 months.
Crosses Australia off.
Yeah. So, like, again, a Thai girl has got no leverage on that situation, right? You're a traveller, okay, you've promised to be with her, she's given up her bar job, and again, so she's given up a bar job, how does she live? You need to throw her some money, to keep her away from the bars, because that's what they'll do. They'll go back and work in the bars again. And again, invariably they'll go and work in the bars anyway because it's part of their lifestyle. It's part of that they do. If they're hitting you up for 20,000 baht a month or 30,000 baht a month to stay at the bar, you're not in the country to see where you are. They're back at the bar and they're making an extra 30,000 baht a month. But I said not to say that that doesn't go on, but that's what happens. One thing guys have got to realise the fact that you're on holiday. What goes in Bangkok stays in Bangkok. Any of the girls you find in these red light areas, that's it. They are just part of the attraction of living or visiting Thailand. They're in business to do one thing and one thing only, which is to have pleasant. You don't
go looking for a wife in the red light district.
Yeah. They're there for pleasant conversation with the foreigners. That's what they're there for. Come on.
It's no different than going to the Bunny Ranch or the Chicken Ranch or Area 51 in Nevada. I mean, they're there for that purpose, and that's why you're there. I mean,
Hi, Jay Sherwin.
People that come in and look for that want to shut the whole thing down. It's like, oh, that's immoral. Well, hey, you know what? Go away.
Hey there, IJ Sherwin. That's a new name I haven't seen before, but thanks for sharing it on Facebook. Let people know where we are live. Mr. Mitch, I named my favourite fishing spot after my ex-wife. Like disappointment. But so when it comes down to you have a regular relationship with a regular girl, in Australia, that's a domestic law thing. You don't even have to be married. 6 months and that's it. She's entitled to half of everything. Over in Thailand, the girls, if you're living with a girl for here and you split up, she's got really no leverage at all. Your money's in a different country, Thailand, the only leverage she might have is, creating some sort of falsehood, right, on a technical level to have you kicked out of the country, but she's really got no leverage on your money. So, these are sort of situations you've got to deal with. Now, they're going to want it up front, as opposed to the longer term play, which an Australian girl may or an American girl may have up her sleeve, which also clouds the whole judgment issue as well. And again, even when it comes to divorce, from what I understand here, the divorce situation here very rarely ends up in some sort of splitting of a monetary situation. I really have got no idea how the divorce, the Thai relationship divorce works. I can only sort of reflect on this household here. Now, to this day, after 11 years, I still don't know whether Chanya's mum and dad are divorced, whether they were actually sort of legally married, right, to start with, or they just had what they call a Thai marriage, which is very common, which is a Buddhist marriage. Whether there's actually technically anything in the law that did they sign an agreement, right? Did they then sign another agreement when they split up? But he still comes around and eats at the communal table, and mother doesn't seem to be too worried about it. They're still friends. There was no money. There was no money to split up. Basically, that was, I believe, the reason they split up is the fact that he couldn't provide for the family. Just the hard times and things like that. He couldn't provide. It's not only a foreigner thing. The guy couldn't, the Thai male couldn't provide for the family. So the Thai family said, well, you're not staying under my roof then. sort of the situation. So what do you do? Now, I don't like to air my laundry, like I said, but I don't know all the details. And quite frankly, that's about all I'm going to say about that particular situation. But I do know these are sort of things that happens over here in Thailand. Which is, it's a real strange situation. The whole, marriage and law regarding property settlement operates in a completely different paradigm than it does in the West. And I really don't know. I'd love somebody to actually give me some clues on how that worked at some stage. But again, it's a touchy subject, so people don't want to talk about it. Andy Stubbs, I have a perfect marriage. I'm the one part of the house, she's in the other. Yeah, okay, fair enough. You've got a big enough house, it works, yeah. Jade, how you doing, Jade? Good morning, good to see you, or good afternoon in your case. First time I went to Thailand, I think I slept with 10 girls in a week. Spending time, I spend a week in Chiang Mai and the Elephant Conservation Centre. Okay.
So Warren.
Yep.
Back on the subject of no money, no honey.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on? The whole background you have behind you is looks to the red light district. So the no money, no honey. How is this? What are your thoughts on actually looking for a Thai wife without the red light district aspect of it?
Well, I'm actually of two minds of the whole. If you're looking for a partner, I don't see, if you have the right personality, right, you're not a misogynistic asshole, and you want to treat the girl right. I would personally think any one of these bar girls here would prefer to have a steady, what they call monogamous relationship with a gentleman, right, who is going to take care of them. There is no doubt in my mind that would happen in a majority of cases on the girls on the street, right? Quite frankly, the fact that I think the art of being a gentleman these days and taking care of your girl, right, is a lost art. And we this is the thing. It's an easy street sort of situation that guys have forgotten. Like I said, I've never used a dating app, right? Everybody I talk to these days that is single uses dating apps. I haven't even got a clue how a dating app. I can't say I don't have a clue. I know that you basically set up an account. I did do a test account to actually see how the process worked. And then we instantly closed the whole thing down again because I couldn't see the point of it. But I've never used a dating app. Actively used a dating app. I've helped somebody build a website around dating, but I don't know how the game works. I can only talk to I've only sort of had in-depth conversations with my friends that come here about how they leverage the relationship game. So I'm a real noob when it comes to the dating apps. This thing called Tinder. I know it exists, but how does that shit work? Is that the way? Is that how our psyche has now developed over the last 15 years? The fact that, next. Oh, I might talk to this one. What does that create in our basic psyche as a human species anymore? If a girl is just swiped aside, right? Where is the art of conversation? Where is the art of finding out what they're all about? And I reckon that if I was single, I reckon I could probably walk down Walking Street and I could probably find myself quite easily a long-term relationship, without any worry whatsoever, because I'm the sort of guy that would inquire. I would make the right conversation, find out what they're all about. You know, and again, there would be the swiping aside the ones that I would be able to tell the ones that are what they call there to work and work only, because that's what they do and it's in their blood. But again, half of them, they're there to look after their family up in Isan, right? The only reason why they're there is simply because of the fact that, at least, the family might make, 5,000 baht a month on their farm, collectively, whereas she's making, 5,000 baht, possibly a night, right? Which she's sending half every week. She's sending it home to them, she's doing it for one reason only, and to support her family. Her extended family, which again, I think we talk about it. The guys are sitting, the men up on the farm, drinking the Samsom, because that's what they do, and she's supporting a lot of them. She's got the looks, and they've got to cut the rice at every 6 months or whatever it is. That's how the system works.
Well, I think you have a really good point there. It's called human contact. And apps really don't get that. I mean, we're friends. We met online and we talk and we chat and we're talking now and we're interacting. But in a relationship, a really intimate relationship, it's an aspect of human contact, which you don't get through apps. And I agree with you 100%. I have been overseas when I was a younger man, and in the red light districts, regardless, it is a matter of income. It is a matter of supporting your family, and the girls are still girls. They're still people. They're still caring individuals. And I know I asked the question of how to meet a Thai wife or an intimate, but I was kind of throwing that out there because I have been in those situations, and I just wanted to let everybody else know that these are still people. It's interacting with individuals.
I don't want to make any.
Regardless of where you're from, regardless of your race or anything, religion.
I don't know. I don't want to make any big point of it, but the thing is, like in my early life, in my 20s, I would probably have a different girlfriend every 2 or 3 weeks. I was just one of those guys that would just walk into a pub, walk in, anywhere where the girls hang out, roller skating, ice skating, skiing, down the snowfields, in the pubs, because I was a single guy, up until the age of 28 when I met Angie. I played the field. And it was just the fact that, you'd walk up to the girl, you'd have a conversation. Hi, how you going? What's your name? Like they do over here. I don't know. They obviously a playbook from, but start a conversation. And if she's game, she will reply back. And you don't come. I know when I was an apprentice in my early, late teens, early 20s. There, the guy, one of the guys I worked with, his name was what's his name? Barney, right? He had this attitude with women, right? Didn't matter who it was. The first thing he would say hello, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "Do you fuck?" Right? That was it. And he said, "I got slapped across the face more times than I've had hot dinners, but I bet you I've had more sex than you have." Right? But that was how forward he was, right? Basically, he didn't beat around the bush. If they weren't going to fuck, he wasn't going to have a bar with them, right? Whereas I was a little bit more subtle in my early days. The Real Ladyboy Show. G'day, Don. How you doing?
Oh yeah, I think most men in their 20s are walking hormones. That's what we do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not. Look, David Bonney. He did a was part of a TV series a few years back from Sky B2B. He's actually joined the stream. Good morning, Swaddy Clap. Good to see you along for the show today. How you doing? That's a bit of a stereotype. Lots of Thai hookers don't send money home back to parents. Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of them don't. Yeah, they do it because there's no other way to make a good lot of money under these education or poorly motivated. Yeah, exactly. It's a smorgasbord of the different types. I was just making an example of the whole, where is the art of conversation and picking up girls. But, like if I was going to be looking for a Thai girl to have a relationship with, I wouldn't be looking in Soy Cowboy or Walking Street or any of these places. It's just not the place. I'd be looking at shopping centres, markets. I walk through markets with Chanya and around my arm, and we're holding hands, and and you can sort of see the girls there. They're all looking, right? They're all wishing, right? I think one sort of side because Chanya's they know she's a ladyboy, and and I'm not bad looking. I might have a bit of a gut, but I'm not bad looking. That I'm the sort of guy that a Thai woman would quite happily settle down with, just on looks alone. And I'm not trying to sort of big note myself, but I'm not an ugly guy. You know what I mean? And of course, I know a little bit of Thai, and I can have a bit of a conversation with them, and I can definitely sort of put some rungs on the board, right? To get to first base, if you know what I mean. But most guys, they don't.
That's exactly what I like about your channel. You're a real person in a real relationship.
Yeah. And of course, I have no want to go out and have any side. I get enough of it. Who are you talking to now on? Who are you talking to now on Facebook? Who are you talking to now on Discord? That your geek? Why are you talking to your geek? I think she called you a geek this morning, didn't she, Luke?
Well, whether you're in a relationship with a ladyboy or anybody else, you're a nice guy. And
well, I try to be.
In a real relationship, both of you seem to be very happy. So that's exactly what I like about your channel.
And I think that's a thing that comes across now. That like we've been together 11 years. I think most of the people who watch the channel now come because they know the fact that that they've sort of seen all the single male video type sort of situations and the life of a single male visiting and living in Thailand. They very rarely sort of see a guy and a girl in a long-term relationship, and as they say, she's a stunner in compared to some of the other girls that we've seen in the partnership relationship YouTube channels here in Thailand. Foreigner Joe now, his girl, she's a bit of a stunner as well, I must admit. Johnny from All Hin, his partner, she's a stunner, but we don't sort of see too much of the female part of their relationship. Whereas Chanya likes to be part of the channel. Within reason, she's got a business to run now, so she doesn't get to be in the video as much as what we used to be. But they get to sort of see that on a regular basis, which makes it, I suppose, in one thing, a fairly unique sort of experience for people coming and making the comparisons. I'm showing us a completely different side to Thailand to everybody else. I just wish the Google algorithms would actually sort of show it to more people, and maybe I'd get a bigger channel. But because the style of Thailand just doesn't get ranked, unless of course I get narcissistic and start ranting and raving and creating wars. The algorithm just doesn't lend itself to my sort of channel. But on the other side, I got a good following. I've got a great bunch of people that come and visit all the time. So, and they're always leaving comments, and they love the channel. I spend a good deal of my day having a conversation with people on Discord, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, I built up some really interesting, relationships out of that. What I call friends. I never had this so many friends when I was working in Australia. That's for certain. Dallo stayed here in PopeKael a couple of times. So yeah. So David's after 10 years, I have come to the conclusion that there is no conclusive guide or way differentiating between a good and a bad girlfriend material. Look, quite agree with you. It's just one of those things. There's no playbook. You can just say, check these boxes and you're going to be guaranteed, a good relationship. You just got to use your smarts these days. And unfortunately, I don't think you can get a smarts, dating like this. There's just no way to build smarts up that way. It just doesn't work. And while you continue to date like this, well, guess what? You're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. It takes a bit of an art. I just think the art form of dating is really it's a lost art now.
I agree. Yeah.
And, it comes down to why do you want to date them? Maybe you want to have a conversation with them. Or then again, you might want to actually have a real conversation with them. It comes down to what you're looking for in the whole game. If you're in these places here, the girls here generally aren't looking for a real conversation. They're looking for the conversation that lasts about an hour or so, and that's all they want to know. It's a real strange game. I think the differences here between here and Thailand and Australia is, you actually have to walk quite a few yards to meet each different girl in Walker Street. Walker Street, was it? Maybe I'm just getting the street names wrong, but in Darlinghurst and everywhere, you got to walk from house to house because that's the way it's run over there. Whereas over here, it's like it's all grouped together. God, just in that photo, that's a typical Friday night. I would say early in the night as well, because they're not really latching onto the guys walking down the street at that point of night. After about 10 o'clock at night, you can't even walk down there without half a dozen girls mobbing you. So I would guess that's an early night photo. Google are at war with any white man who is relating life to a foreign country like Thailand. It's not algorithm, it's bias. Is it? You think it's bias? You think they're specifically saying Thailand based and that's it? They just flag your account for less views. Possibly. I just think it's just the fact that it's content that they don't want. But then again, you look at channels like Bangkok 112. He seems to get lots of views and lots of things. But again, it's the content of the channel. The algorithm doesn't seem to sort of upset him at all. And again, what's Cheap Charlie, that the algorithm seems to do him quite well. But again, it's the type of content that they produce.
Right.
Google only want one thing. They just want to put ads in front of something, right? That's how their business model works.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, the algorithms now don't lend itself so well, to that sort of content. But content like mine, it's just, this is just everyday life. They don't, the algorithms are just a buy or whatever. It doesn't help. I just need you guys to share the videos. That's what, get out there and share the videos. I need to encourage more of the participation level. We can build this channel up big, but it needs you guys to do the work. Anyway, enough of the promotion.
Yes, Warren needs a Kawasaki.
I'm going to sit on the whole idea of the new Kawasaki for 6 months. We are in the process of the new house hunting, or the house buying process. We've got our names on the holding papers. So That's something that we can branch off towards the end of the stream.
Priorities, sir.
But we're just waiting for her to be approved for the home loan. And again, talk of bias, and I can't even be part of that process. We can't be legally married, so we don't. I've got no look into to say, well, my asset value is, I can put down as a sort of a security for the home loan. No, I'm just a foreigner. I could be out of the country tomorrow. So I've got it's up to Chanya to actually secure the loan. She's got 2 years of business and a growing business. 2 years of showing that she can service the loan. So I don't see what the hold up is with the bank, but again, she has a lot of bias as well, because there is at that upper echelon level in society, a Saosong, right, doesn't get the same sort of respect as a regular girl wanting to buy a house. It's a very misogynistic country, whereas they look at they take the army attitude. You've got a screw loose, so I'm not going to lend you money. That's why they don't. They're doing the conscription. So I think they did a conscription a couple of months ago. But the guys will dress up in a dress and go for their conscription ballot, and then instantly get dismissed because they classify them as crazy. It's the way we got such a society we got over here. But Chanya, hopefully, she's got good bank balance. She's got money in the bank. And she ticks all the boxes, as anybody at a bank manager would say. Well, I can see you service that loan. You can service that loan, so I'm going to give you the loan. It's just got to get over that hurdle to find that one bank manager that will just feel comfortable doing it. That's all. I think she's got papers in at 4 different banking establishments now, and they're all reviewing it. It'll happen. Got my fingers crossed, at least, anyway. Can't wait, of course. I really want to sort of get my my study set up so I can have a proper studio, rather than with the sort of drapery on the back here with the for the green stuff, the blue screen, the green screen in the bedroom. That's terrible. Pyramid sale. When you talk about the house loans things, yeah, you got to be bribing the right sort of people. That's something else that you talked about last week or the week before. She's actually gone to an agent, right, and it's a 3,000 baht fee, and he does all the presentation of the paper, he prepares all the paperwork the way the bank wants it. So you pay out 3,000 baht, and it almost like guarantees you the loan, right? So that's don't ask me how this shit works, but it happens, right? It's like loan sharking, I guess. It happens over here. But yeah, we're getting off the subject. The no money, no honey. And they stopped classifying ladyboys as crazy during the military draft a few years ago, and now they say they have chest problems. Well, they don't want the regular army guys, getting their rocks off in the barracks, do they? So, yes, it's a bit of a one. TG Instant. Hi, Warren, Andy. This is quite an interesting and informative channel. Good to see. Oh, we try to be. Like I said, I'm just one guy, just out there with a YouTube channel. I try to do what I can. Didn't work for Klinger and Mash. Yes.
So Warren, try to move you back to the subject. No money, no honey. Is this true? Do you have any thoughts on how to see if it's a money-based relationship? If she's looking for that, sugar daddy, as we call it in the U.S.
Well, I can only reflect on my relationship here with Chanya, right? So I met her in 2009. That was in January. I came back in March. I came back in May. I came back in August, right? And that August trip, I had 2 weeks to prepare her passport and her visa application, right? We got that visa approved with 12 hours to spare, and so that was in a rush around to buy the tickets and buy clothes and everything else because it was still quite cold in Australia. Flew her to Australia. She spent 10 weeks in Australia, right? We came back. I then stayed in Father's shanty house out in the back of the Wat here for 2 weeks. Then I came back the following March, and then I came back for her birthday in May 2010. Right, now when I came back in May 2010, I actually got to meet the girls she was living with. Now she was living in what they call one of those 30 square metre apartments, which is a single room with an air conditioner and an ensuite bathroom. And there's 4 mattresses lined up against one corner of the wall, right? And the first thing that went through my head was, this is not how my girl should live, right? That was my choice. And I just said, because I hadn't been sending her any money. It was a relationship based on trust and everything else like that. And we didn't really have access to the internet and all that sort of newfangled gizmos that we have today. But that was how it worked. It was the fact that I was just the sort of guy that she wanted to have a relationship with, and she was a cabaret dancer. I'm not stopping her from working, right? That's what she did. She'd worked cabaret. But she worked in what they call a local troupe. She's not one of these cabarets you see down in Pattaya, was it Tiffany's or I can't remember the other names of them. The sex show cabarets, Eclipse and things like that. She was a troupe cabaret girl, so she does weddings, birthdays, the sort of things that Thais, they hire these troupes for a half-hour show for a laugh, and that's what they do, and it's quite popular. And then of course different hotels, they'll have visiting guests like travel groups from China and things like that. They host 2 or 3 busloads of Chinese as a travel group, and they'll have a cabaret show in their auditorium. That's the sort of work she did. Right, and it was a non-sex based, cabaret. The Chinese come here for a laugh, they think it's funny. That's what she did. I wasn't stopping her from working, so I didn't have any need to send her any money. But yeah, when I saw the sleeping arrangements in this apartment, I just said, darling, you realise the fact that, I'm spending so much money each year, because I'd got the figures now, how much I'm spending on hotels coming over here, and you're coming to the hotel with me and staying with me at the hotel for that duration and everything else. It's actually cheaper for me to give you 5,000 baht a month to rent your own house, right? So let's do that. Go and rent a house, and I'll give you the money to rent the house. So that's how it started. Right, and that's the thing. It was actually saving me money rather than costing me money. So, but that's the sort of guy I am. I'm a bit. I calculate everything. Don't worry. When you've got an OCD predilection, or what they say, this is what you do. It was cheaper for me to give her 5,000 baht a month to rent a house, right, where she'd have all her stuff. It's all her own, and so on and so forth. In 2011, it came around the fact that in the floods when we were over here, her mother had moved down from Sukhothai, and she'd actually rented the house across the street from her. And there we are in the floods, we had to walk through, knee-deep water. I would walk over to Mother's house every morning to have breakfast, because Mother's a cook. Chanya can't cook. But, we're just doing that for 2 weeks while I'm like, okay, I'm assisting there. I'm giving money to buy food because it's a bit hard to get, and but they're cooking for me, so it's just the same as being in a hotel anyway. But that's just the basic the way it works. I'm paying for food, I'm paying for the groceries, because you're cooking the food. It's a good arrangement, But instead of saying that, I sort of said to her, why is your mother renting? We've got a 2-bedroom house here, right? And your mother's renting a 2-bedroom house for the same amount of money across. Why doesn't Mother live with us? And she said, but I didn't think I didn't think you would approve. I said, stuff that. Your mother's in Bangkok. She is always welcome to live with us, and that's always been the case ever since. So when it comes to money, yeah, I still give Chanya money, right? She gets 20,000 baht a month stipend, right? Which she pays the rent, she pays for the food on the table downstairs and all that sort of stuff, right? And that's the deal, you know. That's my contribution, right? I also pay for the air conditioning, right? So that's it. And down just paid for the for the beer. Thanks, Dowley. But to me, that's still an equitable situation, right? It still works for me. And again, I'm just providing for Chanya and for the family here. To I'm the breadwinner. I don't work. I sit on the computer. I do what I like to do. Right, and for that convenience or for that inconvenience, right, cost me 20,000 baht a month. Works for me. I don't begrudge any of that cost. But as I said, I did not make that commitment on cost, right, for at least 18 months. Right, I had to make sure the relationship was one based on faith and trust and everything else, as opposed to based on money. So. And I think that's the only advice I could give, right? As soon as money comes into the conversation, right, I think you need to start walking. That's all I can sort of say, right? It's okay to take her out and buy her clothes and buy her this and buy her that, and that's what I used to do. I sort of before I gave her the 5,000 baht a month. When I was here, we'd go shopping, and 2 or 3 dresses. Yeah, let's go and eat food. Let's go and do this. Let's go and do that. I'm paying while I'm here, but I'm only paying for the services that we're using, and buy her a few nice dresses to make her feel pretty. Made me feel good that she was the best looking girl in town. Makes sense to me. But anyway, I hope that answers your question in this situation. Anyway.
I agree. I mean, whatever works is, finances are always a fine-tuned thing between a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever makes you happy and does not make you uncomfortable is a good relationship.
And I think it's
money.
Yeah,
money is the worst part about a relationship.
Yeah, I think once you get a comfort level in the relationship, I think the relationship is always going to be doomed, right? It's a relationship is something that is a bipartisan agreement to be together. You're always working on the relationship. She's always working on the relationship, and when both people are equally working for the enjoyment factor of the relationship, that's when the relationship will last forever. Usually what happens when relationships break down, one or two parts of the party just feel like they just take it for granted, right? The fun part soon wanes in the relationship, right? And so does probably the intimacy as well. Because the fun's not there, you don't feel so intimate, right? And it becomes like, go to work, come home, read the paper, watch the TV, and go to sleep, and that's a relationship that's doomed to forever failure. There's obviously the other side of, raising a family where you start to leverage the fun of your children. That sort of brings a bit more of a spark back into the whole family thing. But when those children get past the age of 14 or 15, I think most guys want to sort of they want to get the hell out of there because it can be quite a nightmare sort of bringing up girls. At least then my daughter wasn't too bad, but I know I've met many a gentleman who has had three girls in their family and no boys, and they are just not the same as they were 20 years before. Robert Mack's joined the show. G'day, Robert Mack. How you doing? Sorry, I just missed you there. Good to have you along. Buy a jet ski, Wazza. would have been fun. Yeah, well, I think if you're going to live in Pattaya, I think you're going to need a jet ski these days, aren't you? Later, Dowlow, what's your average monthly Thai budget? That's a good question. Look, I spend about 60,000 baht a month here in Thailand. So it's 20,000 goes to Chanya, and 40,000 is pretty much my budget. Other thing is, the grab food and buying camera gear or this and that and the other or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I spend my money on. Going to the city and drinking at Sushi's bar. That's going to cost you probably 2,000 or 3,000 baht. For a night out in the town there. When you buy the girls a round of drinks or two, which I do, and then of course there's other things going and enjoying yourself. Junk food probably cost me, maybe sort of a couple of 100 baht a day in junk food. Probably not that much, but I think I average. I spend about 500 baht every 4 days on average for junk food. That's crisps and juice and things. Not so much juice is not junk food, but you know what I mean. What else do I buy it on? So I buy clothes for myself. I buy clothes for Chanya. I'm still buying Chanya clothes. I wish you just get over that little habit of wanting to have the latest fashion all the time. But she's a pretty looking girl, so and I like the way she looks. So I'm a sucker for pretty looks. What can I say? So yeah, I spend on average 60,000 baht a month. You get games that are, new game for this, new this, new that. And, I don't think I spend any more. But yeah, so it's one of those things. But you got to have your budgets. I bet you can't wait to get out of the US, Robert. Yeah, I bet he can't either. Matt Ponwall, Matt Pownell. I hope I spelled it. G'day, Wazza. Really enjoyed the stream, mate. Thanks, buddy. Glad to have you along. So you're on 50k as a single guy, are you, Billy? So that's 60k. That's me and Chanya. But don't forget, Chanya has a business. She pays for things as well. I think collectively we probably spend on average about 80,000 baht a month. She doesn't spend much at all. So on a collective, it's hard to really tell. But I don't always buy stuff for Chanya. She'll buy the occasional stuff. She buys things. So there's always things arriving in the mail, which she buys herself, on mail order. Some of the stuff that comes through, like what did I buy recently? Bought a new pair of sunglasses. This video?
Your video adapter.
Oh, I bought a video adapter. Yeah, I bought that.
Kawasaki.
I haven't bought the Kawasaki yet. Stop encouraging me.
You're going to. I've seen you in your video.
I bought
it. He's buying it.
I bought these. These are my new Sunnies. They've got chromatic lenses and they're Polaroid and all that sort of stuff. Of course, I can't wear them here because of the fact that the polarized nature of the lenses make that particular screen has got an offset polarization to the other two screens, which is a bit of a pain, so I can't actually wear them here. Why do they do that? Like, I thought with polarization, you always had vertical polarization, so the fact that your sunglasses wouldn't polarize the screens. There, you can see it properly there. But yeah, this is a new set of glasses. I bought these from America. They were $20 US on a come up on a Facebook ad, and they just look really good. So I bought them. I wanted better chromatic lenses. They're chromatic, which means the fact that they change their darkness depending on how much sunlight there is. I've always wanted a pair of chromatics. And chromatics, but getting Polaroid chromatics I think was the key. That's why I bought them. I haven't actually seen Polaroid chromatics before. polarized chromatics. But yeah, that was an expense, $20 US. Took 3 weeks to get here. There was this little video adapter thing here. This is obviously for capturing video for that camera. Something I want to do. There's just always little things you buy. There's just always something. There's always crap you're buying. And here's me. I sort of, when I came to Thailand 4 years ago, I came with 2 suitcases. Well, actually, I came with 1 suitcase, but over 2 trips. So I came in the August trip before I moved over here, brought a suitcase, and went back with a backpack. And then when I came for the final trip, I brought a second suitcase. Both of them, 25 kilos full. That was just all the stuff I brought with me. I'd actually reduced my life down to just no junk. And of course now after 4 years I'm buying more junk again. I don't know. There's a George Carlin has a nice little video sketch called Stuff. It always reminds me, and I have to go and play that every so often to remember not to collect stuff. Johnny saying, did think there was only 2 poles. Okay, so I missed the point on that one. Polarized, north to south. Yeah, and maybe it's something to do with that. But yeah, I still was sort of waiting for Stephen to arrive. He was up earlier, but I don't know where he is now. But I did have a couple of articles. So here's an article that I come across. Thai junkie. Let me get out of the screen here. Yeah, Chanya is cute, I know. Love her to death. And what I might do is I might just minimize it so it just gets into the screen a bit better. And there, just that we got everything sort of nicely aligned.
That's a super stereotyping article, man. Only for the rich.
Yeah, well, this is another sort of angle on the whole no money, no honey. Like, it's just not with the bar girls. It's a mindset that's across the world. Basically, the world right now, they're just printing money, and there's nobody. I think I was watching that. I was watching that Joe Rogan or Elon Musk interview. He's talking about the situation. Basically, you can print all the money you want to get over the whole current pandemic, right? But bottom line is, people still need to make the crap, right? Unless, of course, you actually got business and business is running, right, to actually produce the goods that money's going to buy, right? It's just basically it's just going nowhere. And then, of course, the other sort of side of it as well, which is look at how the system works. They're giving all these handouts in Australia and America, right? So, they're bailing out businesses left, right and centre, but for the average Joe Blow, they're just giving you we got $900. Okay, how much do they give you in Australia? I didn't get it, of course. I'm not in Australia. I didn't get it, or I didn't apply for it, or did you have to apply for it? I don't know. I don't know. Handouts, schmandout. But in America, I think every American got $1,200 US or something. So they're giving all the money to the rich and powerful to bail them out. Then they give $1,200 as a gratuity to the Americans, right? And where did it go? It paid their rent for the next month, right? Which then went to the people who own the property, who are again the rich and powerful. So it's a great system, isn't it? But yeah, money makes the world go around. Anyway, this is Stephen found me this article, which I thought we'd go through. No money, no honey. Thailand tourism minister wants to open the border by September, but only for the rich. So there you go, sort of Thai junkie. This is an article. Well, I don't think it's a reprint from Calcit English. Probably with permission. I don't know. It's a week old. Thailand is proposing a new strategy to restructure their struggling tourism industry with the approach that draws inspiration from the nation's popular red light district. by opening the kingdom's borders through travel bubble agreements, but only for the most well-off individuals and high-end travellers. No money, no honey, and undoubtedly no entry to Thailand, at least not within the foreseeable future. Behind the idea is the Tourism Minister of Thailand, who proposed the concept in an interview on Thursday with Karsod. He urged the nation should push for travel bubble agreements that would allow travel exchanges with countries where the coronavirus pandemic is under control. The minister added that the nation has to open its borders, but only for the wealthiest, for select wealthiest visitors. High-end travellers on leisure trips will be allowed to come first. We believe that we will be able to go to destinations such as Phuket, Krabi, Koh Samui as early as September, he explained. The precise method of how the travellers would be required to showcase their high-end status, or if hotel booking at a luxurious resort would be a requirement to enter the country, was still left unclear. So there are lots of great ideas, but nobody really knows how to pull this thing off. Although we're currently encouraging Thais to travel domestically, it's still a difficult situation for entrepreneurs, since foreign tourists contributed to 2 out of the 3 trillion baht in total income in the tourist industry. Yeah, so they're trying to get Thais, and Thais do love travelling internally and doing all the thing, but the Thais don't spend money like the foreigners do. That's the bottom line. Like I think there was another article that came out about 4 or 5 weeks ago showing the numbers. And they were sort of saying, 4/5 of the tourists in Thailand are actually Thai locals. So only 1/5 of the tourism industry is actually foreigners, but 1/5 of the tourism population accounts for 2/3 of the actual money that's collected in the industry. So they're trying to make business out of the other 4/5 of tourism, right, on 1/3 of the budget. So it's really not doing too well at all, and it's just not doing too well at all. Wealthy means Chinese, but again, so the Chinese aren't that wealthy either. They have been targeting the wealthy Chinese, but what's happened over the last 5 years is the wealthy are pulling out of Thailand because the housing bubble. There's vacancies in condos now going left, right, and centre. The Chinese are pulling out of the market. The wealthy Chinese are pulling out. They don't want anything to do with it because they cracked down on what they call the condo hotels. So the wealthy Chinese who bought up condos, they were setting up little side businesses here in Thailand to, take other Chinese, into the country, and then of course, that was the whole TM30 shit that blew that up. Because the TM30 meant that those people visiting had to have TM30 reports. They couldn't do that because these little condo hotels were being run from out of the country, and the whole business blew up and they started selling their condos. Good for them. It was just a scam that they had to break, and that's how they broke it. Of course, it hurt everybody else in the making. Is it? Put minus wealthy means anyway, so the minister mentioned here the so-called travel agreement is back on the negotiating table after government gave a green light for the 4 new groups of foreigners to enter the nation. The agreement will play a vital role in restructuring the crippled tourism industry, which heavily relies on foreign tourists. The agreement, if authorised, will allow tourism exchanges with certain cities and countries where the pandemic is under control. Countries and territories proposed include China, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. And of course, those 4 countries right now aren't looking so good. We've got second and third wave. I think sort of with Vietnam has just had their third wave, and it's sort of locked their country down again. Other nations such as Australia and New Zealand have also shown interest in participating, but again, I think the Victorians screwed it for the Australian people. New Zealand, well, we don't know how they're doing, but they may be included, but they've got to fly through Australia to get here, don't they? Which means getting off an Australian airport. Travel bubble concepts received backlash earlier with the civil aviation regulator reported the new surge of infections in partner countries. There was also the issue. I think, do they talk about it here? There was that issue with the pilot being let out, and the issue with the daughter of dignitaries, which put everything back on the back burner as well. On Wednesday, the government's response centred to the pandemic allowed trade fair participants, film production crews, foreign patients seeking treatment in Thailand, and the Thailand elite card holders to enter the country on the conditions of having to spend 14 days in a state mandated quarantine facility. And I think that's the only way to run any of this sort of stuff. The self-quarantining shit just simply does not work. People are going to have to wake up to the fact that you're going to have to go into a state-sponsored quarantine facility. And once they set this up in all the countries around the world, right, they should be able to bring the whole thing under control, right? Clean your own house, right? Put up with the 14 days. Right, doesn't matter where you go, and I think we'll be able to get to the top of this thing. But it's going to take a few people to come on board. America just simply won't come on board with the whole shit. So what do they? What can you do? The minister stated he expected to generate at least 1.6 billion baht from foreign film sets. Around 10,000 trade show participants are also eyed for return. Yeah, well, we saw the motor show. That was the most recent video I did, was the motor show. Remember the motor show? Not too many pretties at the motor show. But yeah, so... but it does bring the thing, like the whole no money, no honey, right? It has a number of different connotations, especially in today's pandemic environment. Can I recommend any health insurance companies? Right now, no. I think I brought this up the other day. Supposedly, there's this grey area with the whole visa situation, and I brought the page up there before. When I go in for my visa renewal, I've looked at the requirements and mentions absolutely nothing to do with health insurance. So, by reading that paperwork, I don't have to apply for health insurance. Right. Secondly, if you're coming on a tourist visa on, like in this case, the Thailand elite situation, the Thailand elite visa doesn't require health insurance. It does require a health signatory for the 1 million, 100,000 baht for coronavirus or something like that, but doesn't require health insurance. Yet if you come on an OA visa, you have to get health insurance in your own country before you come, which, and then they're also saying that there's this grey area that the renewal process is only an O visa and doesn't apply to the O visa. I've actually got to talk to Jerry. Jerry went for his last week, and I don't know how he went on. I haven't spoken to him yet. He's going to give me the rundown of what he had to go through. Even though he had health insurance, he didn't have one of the 11 mandated health insurance for the visa. So I don't know how that really went. I will find out hopefully by the end of next week. But as for choices, I've been talking with Dan in Thailand. He recommended one through its Thai Visa Connect, I think it was. I haven't got the details. I might even put this as a topic to discuss, but maybe after I find out in a few weeks' time what I have to go through for my renewal. I was entertaining switching over the retirement visa to a Thailand elite visa, but I just looked at what they offer, and they offer nothing for me as a person living here. Lots of little advantages for anybody wanting to come to the country, right? They, the concierge services, the hotels, the stuff that make your trip and stay here pleasurable, and all the little benefits and guests, all that sort of stuff. They really do a nice thing. But the one thing I want is I want an easier fucking process through immigration when it comes to my yearly renewal. From reading their website, you still have to do that renewal yourself. You still have to do the 90-day report yourself. That's in their paperwork. So the two things I was hopefully that they would make it easy for me, don't make it easy for me. So I might as well stand on the queue and do bloody the normal bullshit that I got to do. And the only thing I've got to worry about. Say again?
Pay for every 90 days, right?
Well, you can pay somebody, but I said you don't have to have the elite visa to pay somebody to go and do it for you. Look, I'll just do it online. I do mine in 10 days' time, and I'm actually going to do screenshots and recordings, and I'll actually make a video of it to show you how the online process works. It'll be sort of it'll be one part. It'll be shot over a couple of days, but I'll go through and do the application, and then the follow up 2 to 3 days later when you get the email back. You got to go back there and you got to print out the form. It looks something like this. I can actually show you what it looks like. So give you a bit of a
No worries, man, Warren. You can compile it. On your next video. It's all right.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's one of those sort of things. I'll make a video of it and make it worthwhile. Sort of, hopefully it'll be one of those videos that people will find useful. Nigel McLean, that's a new name. We're doing great here in New Zealand with COVID-19. Okay. So you might be one of the countries that might be allowed in if you want to spend 14 days in quarantine when you get here and 14 days in quarantine when you go back home. So a 2-week holiday in Thailand is actually a 6-week holiday these days. Doesn't work into most people's reality tunnel, does it? When you start to think about it.
Yeah, I was reading it from Singapore and Thailand, things that we have to pay for our own quarantine fee and all the medical attention and whatnot upon arrival in Thailand,
Yeah.
So
but again,
it wasn't a holiday after all.
Yeah, so when you go back to to Singapore, you still have to quarantine, don't you?
Yep.
Is that self-quarantine or state-mandated quarantine?
State-mandated quarantine.
Yeah,
to be under monitored, under the government nose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Billy, my understanding, new retirement visa applications now you need, new visa applications require it, yes. I don't, from my understanding, I'm doing a renewal and I don't require it, but I will get that confirmed within the next 4 to 6 weeks. I plan to go on the 1st of September. That's 3 weeks before I need to do it. That gives me time to fuck around with all the bullshit that they want to throw at me this time. Last year it was banking. The year before was, what was the hold up year before I had was, that's right, I got my bank statements the previous day so I could get there nice and early, rocked up there with my bank statements were dated yesterday. Not acceptable. That still to this day don't understand how that makes any difference whatsoever. It was a bank statement from a bank yesterday versus today. How does that make any difference, right? But for some reason it's a checkbox on their visa application. Is the bank statement and letter of guarantee dated today when the application is made, right? That's how their mandated law works. If it doesn't get the checkbox. So, I've had 2 years ago I had that issue. I had to do 2 trips. Last year I had the issue of hanging around all day waiting for somebody to approve my visa extension because I didn't have a Thai bank. Yet that same bank was approved for the previous 2 years. I was looking for an easier route, and I thought maybe the Thailand Elite visa might have been an easier way, and it's got a few extras, and I might have been able to set me up to do a lot of border trips and go and visit some other countries next year and do some trips around other, because that's always a pain in the ass. Actually, it won't be a pain in the ass if we do get to move into the house in Nakhon Pathom. Guess what? The immigration centre is only about 2 miles away. I'll show you the location. Where is it? Google Maps. Right, so this will be the. Where are we? Nakhon Pathom. Right, so the house is around. I have to get a satellite view because I don't. There's nowhere to pin yet, so that's where the house is there. So, right, and immigration is Wat Rai King. That Nakhon Pathom immigration. So it's there. It is. That's immigration in Nakhon Pathom, and it's really. So if I want to get a directions, and I go from, choose my starting location. Let's just put it there, roughly about there. So it's 10 minutes away, effectively. It's not bad, is it? So I really can't complain, and of course it's not Chang Rotorua, right? So Chang Rotorua is really the problem immigration centre. This Nakhon Pathom really doesn't have any problem with getting a exit visa and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be one of the bonuses that I can look forward to, I think, coming up. So that's another thing that I've been keeping my fingers crossed that we actually get that place. Can you do all the visa stuff online now without going to the immigration? No. For the renewal process, does require you to arrive in person. There's no way to avoid that from my understanding. But other people have told me the fact that they don't have to worry about it. They've had agents do it, and I don't know how that works. It specifically says in the Thailand immigration. It does say you need to present those papers in person, because there's always additional paperwork that needs to be signed. There's other forms that they want you to sign. Unless, of course, you're there to sign them, then that's it. You're stuffed. But again, different immigration officers have different rules. So what can I say about that? It's one of those things we have to deal with here in Thailand. There is a set of rules. Yet it seems like not every office doesn't need to run those rules. But yes, there was another article I have got here on the No Money No Honey, and this is the other sort of side of the, how does the form money. Now I'm taking leverage on this article here that I did find. Thailand Red Cat, Live the Dream in Thailand. This gentleman. Last acted in Thai Girls. No Money No Honey, when your Thai girlfriend asks for money. This is obviously his points of view. Now I haven't actually sort of read the whole article right through. Let me sort of make it a bit bigger on screen so you can read it as well. Her family's car needs repair. Her family's house needs to be renovated. Her brother has died. Her child needs money to go to school. You might hear one of these stories at some point from your Thai girlfriend, and that doesn't necessarily have to come when you're with her in Thailand, but also when you come back to your home country and try to keep a long distance relationship with her for a few months, when she suddenly comes up with some of these weird stories to make you send her money. Where you always call it the sick cow routine. Money that she can support her family with, basically. This happens more so if you take somebody out of take one of the girls out of a scene where her ability to earn money meant fraternising with other foreigners. Let's just put it that way, because there's a whole bunch of stuff there. It could also mean, right now it could be a girl working in a market, right? She can no longer support her family working in a market, right? Yet she's met you in the marketplace, right? So now you're having to foot the bill for the money she can't make working in the market. It does happen. There's so many different sort of connotations on the particular sending money home. It comes down to, I think, in my mind, is it worth it? But if the relationship is solely based around the money sort of side of thing, then I don't feel that you've evaluated the relationship properly. That might be true, but in 99% of the cases it's a lie. Doesn't mean she really needs to send money home to support a family that gives life in a village sipping Samsung all day. Well, I wouldn't say 99% of the time. I would sort of say that conservatively, 50% of the cases you're going to get when the money is being sent from overseas, it's supporting a lifestyle as opposed to helping out with what needs to be sort of bought. Maybe I've got rose-coloured glasses when it comes to that. But I've met quite a lot of Thai girls in the 4 years I've been here, and it's one of those things when we can actually have, especially when I'm out in the bars and talking with Susie and the friends, and I'm getting what I call a fairly concise, no bells and whistles look at how they deal with life. Getting a sort of trying to sort of make up and fill in the gaps. It's not as prevalent as what people tend to make out as 99% of the cases as being a lie. Generally, you're helping. It's generally something needs to be bought. In my case,
Warren,
yep. Go on.
Are you saying it's no less complicated than any other relationship?
Yeah, basically, in a genuine relationship, I don't think it's any different. The advantage is it's a lot less expensive here in Thailand. So
Right. One needs to keep in mind not to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, always look for that. What's going on? Okay, in my case, needed to service the car. That was 9,000 baht. Well, the car needed service. So there was no doubt about it. I was driving the car, and the car needed a service. This time, I chose to go and spend 9,000 baht from a reputable sort of dealership. Well, not a dealership, like a regular, like service mechanic, big workshop mechanic, rather than sort of have, Pa's mate's friend service the car, and do all the extra work, right? It just, to me, I just felt more comfortable about having a professional mechanic doing it.
Right.
I might have ended up, I might have paid a little bit more than that Pa's friend might have charged, but I feel more comfortable that the job was done right, and that's the way I tend to look at it. Okay, so what 9,000 baht? So that was a car service, right? I had new plugs, new injectors for a service on the car. Okay, so that was 9,000 baht. Is it clear?
Right. Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, I do the same thing in the U.S.
So that was $400. $400 Australian.
Take it. Take it to somebody that might fix it and do a good job, or take it to somebody and pay a little bit extra that you will, will do everything they can to make it right.
Yeah. So if I took that to a mechanic in Australia, it would have been at least twice that price. That was $400 Australian. It probably would have cost me twice that price if I took it to a mechanic in Australia. Injectors, spark plugs, plus the time, the fitting, and all that sort of stuff. At least probably there's probably 2 hours workshop fees. That's probably $250, $300. I don't know how much it costs in Australia, but I definitely wouldn't have cost $900. It wouldn't have cost $400. Now, if I, of course, myself, if I was in Australia, it was my car, I would have gone to Repco, I would have got the injectors myself, right? I would have gone to Repco, I would have got the spark plugs myself, and I would have done the whole fit up myself, right? There's no doubt about it, because I had my own garage to do all that work myself, and I'm a pretty good mechanic myself, like I've been building cars all my life. I don't have a garage here. I don't have all my tools here, and it just makes more sense to me to get someone and pay someone to do it. You know, just no skin off my nose. But again, that's what I'm saying. What I'm getting at is generally those sort of jobs are cheaper. And when I've not been directly involved, I've always sort of said to Chanya, when something needs done, just send me the bill. Get me the bill. That's all I do. I just want to see it on paper. Right? That's all. Right? So the fact that fine, I don't mind paying a bill that needs to be paid, like the insurance for the motorcycles, the registration for the motorcycles.
Yeah, tell me what I'm paying for.
Yeah, there's the bill. Here's the money. Right? Well, what I do now is I said, you pay it. Right? Bring me the bill, and I'll transfer the money from my account to your account, because it's just bang, there it is. And that's how we deal with most of the bill paying when it comes in. She pays for it, right? She sends me the bill. If she doesn't have a bill, then I just get a little bit, annoyed, and I said, well, where's the bill? Because I keep all that paperwork, I'm a bit of a clutter bug when it comes to that sort of stuff. I keep it all here, right?
Bit of a Westerner, keeping that documentation.
That's what we do. I know Thais don't do it. Something you have to have to get used to. Thais are not really methodical when it comes to that sort of stuff. Yes. But anyways, this is basically, I've just given this idea, this particular article. I've never had a Thai girlfriend that asked me for giving or sending her money. The only time I give money to my girlfriend is when she asked me to borrow some to pay her tuition fees or study because her salary isn't out yet. And then sometimes I buy her small things for her, but that comes from my side to make her happy and not because she's asking for it. And that's again the same how it works with me, right? The bills that need paying, show me the bill and you get the money, right? And like last night, she got home 7 o'clock or 7:30. She wants to go to Big C. I said, but I've already had dinner. I said, I want to go to Big C. Okay. I know it makes her be happy to go to Big C. And I know when I go to Big C, I usually buy her a dress or I buy her some makeup or something like that. It makes her happy. I don't begrudge her that shit, I just enjoy her company. We always walk around and, get all the stares, how it is. It is great, friends. It's a great ego trip. All the looks you get, I tell you, it's worth the 600 baht I might spend. But yeah, it's just the way it is. I don't begrudge those sort of costs. I think if you start begrudging that sort of thing, you might as well freaking not come to Thailand. That's just you've got a screw loose in your own persona. How about you stay back in your home country because we don't want you here. But yeah. Mr. Mitch, have a great. He said, I'm not getting much conversation going. They're happy listening to most of the time. Everybody's chatting amongst themselves, or is the chat log broken? But other questions, guys. What else have you got to talk about around the know? I thought we had a great talk. Everybody's chiming in. I said, of course, Stephen's not here and he's missed out on the stream. He usually doesn't. He's always made a habit of coming in 2 hours late. Maybe that's because I've never had a hooker for a girlfriend. In other words, I've never had a relationship with a Thai girl that didn't have a normal job, or a student who doesn't get support from her family. Again, this is where it comes down to the fact that it's going to depend highly on the relationship as who you're choosing for a partner. Of course, the nightmares I hear with the dating apps, of course, is I think Ian sort of brought this thing here. Like, he's doing it just as much as the girl. He's carrying on a dating app for 4 different girls, right, for his trip over here, right? And he's basically selecting, I'm going to go out Friday night. Who's available Friday night, right? So he's flicking through his app of the ones he's already talking to. Are you available to go out for dinner Friday night, you know? No, okay, flick. Are you available for dinner Friday night? You know, again, sort of, is that a way to have a regular relationship? But don't forget, the girls are doing exactly the same thing. You know, how you would ever sort of have a regular relationship on a dating app, it's beyond the pale of my imagination. But people do it, don't they? People seem to live by these dating apps these days. Happy to listen to the views, Anne Wick. Okay. Mortella, no money, no honey, is the same with all relationships the world over. Thais just happen to be more upfront about. Yeah, I think that's one of the takeaways that I think we will like to sort of talk about in the Thai situation. It is a little bit more in your face than everywhere else, but that's one of the charming things about Thailand as well. It is a refreshing feeling, the fact that nothing's really hidden. Yeah, there's certain things in Thai culture there, you know, the family sort of stories, the family internal squabbles, they don't get aired in public like we do in the West. You know, your problems with your neighbour. You know, I don't know how many fights we sort of see on the internet about, you know, your neighbour doing some shit and you don't like it. You know, the most recent one comes that gave me a laugh was the vegetarian that went to council to have the neighbour banned from cooking meat on his barbecue next door because she's a vegetarian. Who does that shit, really, you know? But it goes on in the West, you know, complaining about what your neighbour does. I never hear neighbours, I don't hear loud music, I don't hear neighbours fighting. We might occasionally get the soy dogs at 12 o'clock or midnight barking, you know, at something, probably because the neighbours taking one of their dogs out in the street for a walk or something. But I don't get any of that. The only noise factor we have here is like the Sunday morning 7:30 a.m. van with the loudspeakers telling us what's on at the Watt round the corner, you know, which of course is like an early morning wake-up call. But that's about the only noise pollution I get. But in Australia, you know, you get your neighbours having parties at all hours of the night, and the fights that develop, you know, that's one side of Thai culture I don't see. You don't air that laundry in public. You just keep to yourself, and if you don't like it, you move somewhere else, or there must be some sort of secret thing that goes in behind the back. You see, talk to the Poo Yai, let the Poo Yai deal with it. I don't know how it works, but I never sort of see those squabbles. They just don't seem to happen. Either all Thais love Thais, Thai lak Thai, as they say, or the internal squabbles are dealt with on a very polite and personal matter, not in public like we see in the West. Yet, when it comes to the money sort of side, what we do sort of see is, it's right in your face there. Yep. Don't worry, I've been to these bars that we go to and walk down the street. Actually, I was coming home from my passport renewal, so that's a video it's got coming up, getting the passport renewals coming up. So I got my new passport. So I did a wander through Lumpini Park when I'm talking about the passport renewal process. Then I find myself in Siloam, and I think, okay, next video, on one of the videos I do want to do, I want to go and do that video for the museum that they got in Patpong Soi 2. What they call the Pat Pong Museum, what they call it. So I wanted to check the times that it was open. So it's open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something like that at the moment. And I can video inside. So although I could have probably shot it that day, I'd like to sort of do it with somebody. So it's sort of planning to do it as me and somebody else go to the museum so we can have a bit of a conversation. And there is a guide process. The guide goes with you as well, tells you a bit more about it. I think you pay 350 baht as your cover charge to go in or something. So I know how much it costs, I know what the times are. I'm organising to go and do that video in the next couple of weeks. Don't know when, it just depends on what comes up in conversation and what comes up with whoever's in the country and around the place. But that, in saying that, that was midday or something that I'm walking through Pat Pong. I had this sort of 70-year-old guy, obviously runs one of the bars there. He just walks up to me and says, I have very nice girl. You want massage? You want blowjob? Can take care of you very good. You know, you want to come now? Now, really? At midday?
With mask, right?
But this is obviously the guy that owns the girls or runs the girls and asking me, because the girls weren't out in the street. This is midday. The girls don't get on the street until about 6 o'clock at night. But it just so in your face. It was just so in your face. Did you want this? Did you want that? Okay, no, I'm just here to check out something. It was quite funny. But yeah, that's the thing. That's that side of the Thai culture. That there is no prostitution in Thailand, yet a foreigner could walk down any one of those streets in Pat Pong, in Nana, in Soy Cowboy, any of the red light districts, and within 5 minutes you are being accosted by a financial transaction proposition, right? Yet there's no prostitution in Thailand, right? It's just how they can even have a straight face and say it, right? is one of those funniest things that I find, and it's so adorable. It really is. David SK, how you doing? David from Melbourne, like your Kawasaki hat. Yeah, so that's the new hat. It's I'm going with the winning brand now, so. There was an article that came out last Wednesday. Triumph in Rayong had sacked 800 workers, right? And over the last 6 months or so, they've sacked 2,000 workers. And somebody sort of mentioned in the comments section, looks like Triumph's on the way out in Thailand. Triumph's on the way out in Thailand. Anyway. Through a little bit more research that day, it was actually Triumph Underwear, is the company that's shutting down, not Triumph Motorcycles. But yeah, a lot of people hurting. But yes, I'm just coming up to the 2-hour mark anyway, so I'm probably getting a little bit hoarse myself. But yeah, so this article, this topic is something that I thought we might do with Niall. He's just gone back to Ireland, and we might do a live stream hookup, or maybe a recorded hookup. I've got some stuff ready to do with what they call interview sort of style video stuff I want to start to develop. I've done all the preparatory layup work for it. Just need the topics to start with and a few people to join in on the whole thing, where we can have a one-on-one conversation. I know Stephen will be up for it, but you've probably heard enough of Stephen all these days. We have conversations all the time. That's where it sort of come from, talk about a particular subject. Let's actually make videos about it and show you, I can actually give you a bit of a sort of sample of what it looks like as well. If I look at my videos, where was it? Check. This is an example of what it would sort of look like on screen. Right, well, what you would see on screen would be something like this. So we're doing this sort of style layup. I just got to do a bit more branding at the back. It's not Streamlabs, just using my own software, so I'm in total control. I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to that. It also means that I can sort of capture and edit and do everything properly. And do something what I could call proper interview style, around the world interviewing. See Stephen there in Perth having a chat with me, and it was only a 1-minute video, but it would work for the sampling. So that's something we got coming up. The branding's looking interesting. I just want a little bit more tweaking there. Run it by a few more people. I need a tan. I get out and get some sun. It's all right. I don't need a tan. And I got plenty of tan on my arms, because I wear t-shirts all the time. But yeah, but so got things coming up. Again, I'm going to do a lot of discussion topics. I'm trying to break out of the whole Thai-centric genre, which is what I think limits my YouTube channel. I want to get into more topical-based conversations. I don't want to use any, drop any names, but like the Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, sort of interviews, that sort of thing, and get topic-based. Have something that we can discuss on a topic-by-topic level, which will help with the algorithms. Yeah, there is a lot of limited anthrax here. And again, this is where a general shout out to you guys. If you don't mind being on camera, I'm going to be using the Discord system to manage it, which is how I'm going to capture the video. I can even have up to, look, I can have actually any number. I can actually have 25 people in a conversation in the layup, but then of course I've done layups for 2, 3 and 4 people in a group conversation. So that the particular layup that you saw there was a 2-up. I've got a 3-up. I've got a 3-up in a different format. I've got a 4-up layup. And I can have more, but I'd need to prepare the thing before we started if I went more than 4. But so I'm prepared to do 2 and 3 and 4 right now, having a conversation. If you want to be part of those sort of things, you need to be part of the Discord and have a camera and a microphone ready to actually have the conversation. And it'll be recorded. It will not be live streamed. I don't think we really want to go down the live stream path. We want to do a recording so that I can actually bleep out any swear words, and sort of cut out any of that. When we're doing any conversation, they always drift off. Let's see if we can stay conversation based, and keep it to a 10 to 15 minute length discussion on a particular topic. And I know that's almost impossible to do when it comes to me and my friends. We can never stay on topic for more than 5 minutes. So it's going to mean the fact that I'm going to record and edit, and present. COVID-19 conversations should last for at least 6 months. Yes, except those are probably the conversations I probably will try to avoid having, if you know what I mean. Can you a video on the backyard repairs to your bike and car? Do a video on backyard repair. Well, I can. Well, see, it puts. This is where it comes. This is some of the video topics I have difficulty doing. When it comes to that sort of stuff, it really does put in my mind, Thailand into a bad light. But what I could do is I could make a video and show you the sort of backyard mechanic workshops that really are here, like this, the motorcycle guy that changes tyres. Like I said, I've taken Mother's bike there, where you got a flat tyre on it, on Mother's bike a few weeks back. So I rode it slowly back home with a deflated tyre. I was only around the Esso service station getting a Burger King, and next thing I know I got a flat tyre, so I had to limp the bike home. I stopped in there on the way home, and seriously, just stopped in there. Oh yeah, he'll change it now. No, you can't even get that service in Australia, really. He had 3 bikes parked at the front, but he'd rather service me now because I'm a foreigner. I don't know, because I pay up front. I don't know. It's nice to get the service. Then he just fucking ripped the back wheel off, put the new inner tube in, pumped her up, and off I went. I think it was 120 baht later, all done. you can't knock some of these backyard guys, but you look at the working conditions and you go on, yeah, when I used to when I used to build motors, I used to take care and attention and, had proper, workshop benches and, took care of laying out all the materials, in a nice clean environment, especially when you're doing motor rebuilds, but I really can't see how that could be attained in any sort of level of, formality here in these backyard shops where the stuff's fucking lying on the ground. So, but yeah, like we can definitely sort of, that's a sort of a wander around video. Maybe I could just do that one. I always think of new topics to talk about, but I don't. I want to do it in sort of in a jovial fashion rather than look at the shit that they put on the floor here, and demeaning the Thai people. They're doing what they can to make a living, so that's you can't really begrudge them with that, right? And they don't have the money to go and buy a franchise, so what can they do? But anyway, such is life, as they say. But I can do a walk around maybe. Yeah, $6 is not a bad price to have a back wheel changed and put a new inner tube in. So what can you do? Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up for now. So say goodbye to Oggy. It looks like Blue's step. There we go. Blue's still there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. John McGee. My girl is not the normal Thai. She won't spend dollars about buying something, be it food, clothes. If it is 20 baht too much for her, she will insist on looking for hours for the price to say. Yeah, I know Chanya's very much the same. That's why she likes to walk around markets. You take her to the high street stores and like to buy a high street dress. It's like, you're just serious? I can get that at the local market, because all the copies. She's always doing that. That's why they do the market walkarounds. But very, very rarely will it be sort of high street shopping. She doesn't see the point of it. She gets more enjoyment about it. I think it's a game. How much money can you save? Look good and save money. I think that's also part of the Thai culture. How good can you look on a budget? Maybe that's, I don't know. I don't hear all the girl conversation. They talk Thai, and quite frankly, when two girls are having a conversation about clothing anyway, in English, do guys listen? So there's nothing different there. So, let the guys chat away, get the girls chat away about how their clothes buying and food and all this sort of stuff that girls talk about. I can't be bothered. Anyway, I need to go pee. So I'm going to wrap it up now. I think it was a pretty good run. Let's have a quick look at the numbers. Let me sort of bring up the sheet. What did we get today? I think we had pretty much a normal sort of crowd again. Where's my YouTube? Go to there. Go to live streams, which is still live now. And what do we get? It'll tell me there's one running now. Yes, let's have a look at that one there. And analytics. It's actually nice. I actually like looking at it. So we peaked out at 45 earlier on. We had a pretty good run between 45 and now towards the 2 hour mark we're dropping off, which is, I think that's pretty good. We got a good run. Had one super chat there from Dowlow. It's all good. Love it. Anyway, thanks for the super chats, guys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining the Discord. If you want to be part of this new series, hit me up. Let's talk about what we can talk about, and come up and sort of see if we can. See if Jonathan. Yep, another new name there that I haven't said. I really got to get you guys to be typing up there so you know who's watching the stream from time to time. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to the same half dozen people, but anyway, it's all good. I know a lot of people are just sit there and like to listen. I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm going to get off screen before I go too hoarse. Go into the bathroom and carry on with my day. So we're closing now. Hit the closing screen, and don't forget, guys, you can catch me on any of those platforms. Pretty multi-platform. Big shout out to all my Patreons and Super Chat supporters. Show you support. The best way to support this channel really is to share the videos. And here's something to watch later. Okay, guys. Later.